At the beginning of Act 3, Scene 4, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth are going into their banquet hall where the rest of the court is gathered. The party is going great, the feast is going well, until one of the murderers pulls Macbeth off to the side and says, "Hey, we got Banquo, but his son escaped." And Macbeth says, "Well, at least you got Banquo. You're sure you got him?" And the murderer says, "Yes, my king, we have murdered Banquo. Sorry, Banquo. Murdered." So Macbeth is, partially relieved because Banquo was the bigger immediate threat, but is obviously not happy to hear that Fleance escaped. Lady Macbeth comes to get him and says, "What are you doing? You are not talking to your thanes. Everyone's kind of waiting for you. Let's go have a seat at the table." Macbeth says, "Yes, you're right. I will come in and sit down." And as he comes to the table to take his seat, he says, but wait, all of the seats are full." And everybody else kind of looks around and looks at each other because they're like, "No, my king, there's an empty chair right there." But Macbeth says, "No, that seat's taken," and everyone else is looking around because it's an empty seat. And Macbeth sees Banquo is sitting in the seat. "But I thought Banquo was back there, dead on the floor." "Correct. This is not normal Banquo. This is ghost Banquo. Woo!" So Macbeth sees at the table, a full table, because in one of the chairs he sees Banquo's ghost covered in blood. And Macbeth immediately starts shouting at the ghost, saying, "Don't shake your gory locks at me! Don't look at me! Don't haunt me!" While everyone else is sitting there, like, what is going on? And Lady Macbeth tries multiple times, for way longer than she probably should have, to just say, "Oh, ignore him. He gets this way sometimes. Just, keep eating and enjoy the party." So they go on eating, but then Macbeth is still yelling at Banquo's ghost and getting more and more freaked out and more upset with every moment that passes. And Lady Macbeth's new excuse is, "Oh, this has happened to him since he's a child. It's just, a normal affliction that he has." Which is not very encouraging if the king of your country constantly talks to people who aren't there. But all right, whatever you want to say, Lady Macbeth. And it just keeps getting worse. So Macbeth is screaming at Banquo's ghost. People are very uneasy. And finally, Lady Macbeth says, "Let's just call it here. Everybody have a good night. Pretty much forget this ever happened and we'll be great." So everyone leaves, and it's just the Macbeths left. And Lady Macbeth says, "What have you done? What are you doing? What was that? Are you trying to get us caught?" And Macbeth doesn't really give her an explanation, though she seems to have figured out what's happened. But instead, he identifies his next target because he's becoming more and more paranoid, thanks to the ghost, and feeling more and more guilty and unsteady on the throne. So Macbeth reveals that Macduff is going to be his next target because Macduff has refused his invitations to come to the castle, and Macbeth feels that this means Macduff suspects what Macbeth has done.